the weird weather. That's just like Wisconsin, right? Like
Oh,
that's just another day in Wisconsin for us. So we lucked out.
yeah, yeah. If you, what's the saying? If you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes, it'll change.
Yeah, exactly. I just let John Milan tell me what to wear, and then I feel like I'm good.
I loved, I'm born and raised Chicago. I spent a year there in Milwaukee, but yeah, there's something about having consistently warmer weather that just, I don't know. I'm digging it. I enjoyed when I was there, but I like having the nice, fairly consistent weather now.
Yeah, I feel, every winter I'm like, why am I doing this? Is this like, it's like that building character thing from Calvin and Hobbes, I'm like, I think I've built enough character for a lifetime.
Yeah, seriously,
Yeah.
I got enough
Yeah.
character, and you're there because in the summer, it's like this is the greatest area ever. Everybody's outside, the air
Yes.
is nice and warm, and then like it sucks every year. You go, it's not that bad. Look at this, and then the winter's upon you, and you're like, next year. It's just a cycle. It's a vicious cycle, Sammy. That's what
I
it is.
just I just am always waiting for patio season. Yeah. Patio season, festival season, it's just the best time of the year.
No, seriously, right?
Yeah.
And especially like about 6 o'clock at night when the sun is still out, but it's just starting to go down. You've just been hanging out in the patio with friends all day. Like that's a pretty cool day.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm okay with, you know, taking warm weather for granted in the future. That would be nice too.
I almost had to wear a long sleeve shirt today.
Oh my God. How did you survive?
I didn't. It's been a very stressful morning, but
Wow. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
uh we have, let's see here. We've got pick a number between 1 and 38.
I'm going to say 32.
All right, 32, 38, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 3. Oh,
Uh-oh.
well, dear friend Michelle Gilliam,
Ah,
who is the best, right? Just the
hey,
absolute,
Michelle.
just the
We
best.
may have just been talking.
Well, she gave the suggestion and that you chose, and our suggestion is dinner time.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks,
Dinner.
Michelle.
Oh, it smells good.
I'm so excited.
I want to dig in.
Yeah.
Should
I
do we,
mean,
what?
are they going to do like a grace thing or
I'm wondering. I'm like, I'm
I
waiting
don't
to
know
see
how
if
this thing works.
I think you just wait. I think that's
Is
where I think you wait and then you're like you're given something where you're excused to eat, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess. I mean, is there even someone walking around? I don't see anybody walking
No,
around.
yeah, it's just like sit and wait and then we're sitting waiting, but it's so I mean, it smells so good.
I know. I I they didn't even give us any appetizers. I mean, now we're just supposed to sit here.
Yeah, it's like
Doesn't make any sense.
it's a big tease. That's what it
Yeah.
is. This is a big tease. They sit it down. I think it's some sort of test. I don't know what they're testing, but like
Oh,
with appetizers. How do you
yeah.
that's the thing that warms up the whole meal and they don't want to give appetizers.
Okay, so all right. Yeah, it's like, do you know that marshmallow test that they gave to kids where they like put marshmallows in front of them and then they're like, "Oh, you got to um
You
we're
can
going to leave the room. Don't eat the marshmallow."
you can eat it now or you can get
Yeah.
2 marshmallows if you don't eat it.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then and then they were like, "Oh, those kids all ended up like, with poor impulse control." But like I don't blame them. I would, if there was something in front of me right now, I would eat it.
there is there is something in front of you and I have terrible impulse control.
But like how, I mean, I
You know
think
my
what
here's my thought. I'm going to eat that marshmallow because the
okay.
future's not guaranteed. And if I wait for two, there's no guarantee I'm going to get two. It's like I'm going to have a marshmallow and then there'll be another marshmallow or something else later. But to sit and wait for a second marshmallow, I don't see the payoff. It's like, no, I want the marshmallow now. It's like, I want to dig in right now.
That's such a good point. The second marshmallow is not guaranteed. That is such an important life lesson that you
right?
just taught me. Yeah.
It's not guaranteed. Like, it's all about going in the moment. And if something's put down, it's like, I want to eat it. So part of me is like, I think I'm just going to dig in.
I mean, wouldn't it be insulting to the chef if we didn't? Because it's going to get cold and then it's not going to present the way the chef wants it to. So, really, we're being really offensive if we're not eating right now.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I know who the chef is. She is unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's one of these. I actually saw her on Chopped. There's a celebrity edition of Chopped.
No way.
Yeah, and so the fact that to get invited here is like, I mean, I'm a bit of a foodie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think she does this whole thing. I mean, you can see she does a whole thing with mousse. Everything is like mousse and dips with her, and it's really good. But she's a stickler with the temperature. And you're right. It's getting, unless it's supposed. Here's the other thing: is it supposed to get room temperature? Or is it, maybe that's it? Maybe it's we're
I
so
mean, if it's mousse, right?
it's kind of, but it's. I feel like there's like a small window, and then you got to eat it. So my, I'm
Is
second
that what we're waiting for?
that window.
That window? You'd think someone would tell us. I mean, like, no one's telling us.
That's the thing. It's like, this is part of the experience. That's why I bought the package. It's like this, you're going to experience it. So I feel like whenever anything's set up as an experience, there's a lot of thought that was put into it. So I feel like this is part of it.
This is like that scene in Midsummer where they're like passing out the dinner. That's how I feel right now. So
I
I'm feeling a little bit of dread.
can I ask you something? Did
Yeah,
you like that movie?
I did.
See, well, here's the thing. If I had known nothing about it, I think I would have really enjoyed it. But when you have expectations going into something, then it's like,
Oh,
and that's the thing is like, I heard so many people say so many good things about it that it couldn't possibly, like this experience.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I don't think it'll live up to
You don't think so?
it. Well, I don't
You're
know.
expecting so much right now.
I was like, I'm expecting a lot, but then you think like, is this what we're doing right now? Because it's just two of us, right? There's nobody else here. So this
Right. Yeah.
communication that we're having, maybe
This
that's
is
the meal.
part of it.
That this is the meal. The meal isn't the food. The meal is the experience. Because isn't that what it is? It's always about the experience. And God, it's been so long since we've had any sort of going out anywhere. So maybe
Right. What if this food isn't real? And what if they're like piping in cents? Maybe the reason it's all moose. Now another movie is coming to mind. Hook, all that imaginary food.
did you
What
like
if
that?
it's like, well, of course I liked that
Yeah, see, I
movie.
like that one too. I didn't know much
It's
about it going into it. It was really
no,
good.
I didn't know anything. But maybe it is like Play-Doh food or something, you know. What if we eat it and then they're like, you failed the whole experience?
But I would be like best experience ever if I could, if it's a pass fail experience thing and then you fail it. I'm like, that would make me like you know what? I would tell Mark and I would say, you have to go. I would not set it up anyway.
Don't say anything.
I would
Yeah.
say like, you have to go. And then he'd come back and he'd be like, you got me. So like,
Oh,
I feel like, yeah, I feel like, but I'm so hungry. That's the struggle. Aren't you hungry? I'm starving.
yeah. But I feel like, yeah, we must have gotten set up too. And that's not a great feeling. Or maybe we didn't. Is this related to my trust issues?
I mean, if you have to ask, maybe it is.
I feel
Right?
like it
You
might be.
answered it.
This
Well,
could be real food.
hang on. Where did I hear about this? I okay. Well, I think I feel like I read about it online, like it was a tweet, I think is where I heard about it. But then my mom said, oh yeah, you have to, that'd be perfect for you too. So
Well, okay, but how are things with your mom right now?
well, you know,
I mean,
good.
like,
It's good. It's good. It's
Any
good.
reason she would want to stick it to you, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that's the question. Would it be
Hmm.
sticking it, or would it be like, I thought you would enjoy this? I keep
Right.
thinking of that. Have you ever seen The Game? You know that movie with Michael Douglas? Have you ever seen it? So
Yeah.
that's what I think is like, it's got to be one of those immersive experiences because we've been sitting here for it's been like 17 minutes already, and
That's a really
nobody's
long
come
time.
out. Nobody has come out at all.
Yeah.
And it's I think there is something that's piped in. Like there's no way that it doesn't matter who the chef is, that it would hold this aroma for this long.
Yeah. Do you think that butter dish has a camera in it?
Well, they said just wait. They were like,
I'm
just,
like, I feel like we're being recorded or something, right? Like, I
oh
don't know.
no, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I think there's no doubt. I think there is some sort of there's as my mom would say, there's some sort of shenanigans.
that it feels like shenanigans for sure.
But I gotta be honest with you, like this is the most excited I've been doing anything in a long time. Like it's kind of snapped me out of the day to day, not with you, just the day to day
Well,
of,
no, I totally get it. Well, it's like it's the uncertain, but in a more fun way.
yeah,
Like there's no real danger here.
yeah.
Or
It,
I mean, the worst that happens is they just go, "You failed, go home." Whatever.
there isn't
Yeah.
there's no way it could be. That's what it's like when you get on a roller coaster. It's like there's no way that you're going to go off the roller coaster because everybody, you would have heard about it, right? So like they have safeties and checks, and the same thing here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way that anything bad. Oh, fine. Well, I don't think there's anything bad
I
could.
started to think about Action Park and then I had to go to like Six Flags instead. I was
Why?
like, okay, this is Six Flags.
Oh
This
yeah.
is an Action Park.
Oh, but yeah, this is not like an unregulated
Yeah.
town to town kind of thing. Do you know in college I worked, I traveled around. I don't think I ever told you. I traveled around in college doing the bottle ring toss for a summer.
Oh my God. So like, okay, so give me the inside track. Those like tilt-a-whirls and stuff. Would you
Okay.
ever go on one of those or no?
Absolutely not. They're not regulated
Yeah.
whatsoever. There's no governing body
Oh
about
my
it.
God. That
And
makes me so nervous.
I got the gig because it was my friend's dad who owned the exhibit, the bottle toss, the ring toss. So he's like,
Yeah.
you do it, and I was 17. No, I was 18 because it was my end of my freshman year. I was 18, and I had nothing going on. I was like, sure, and I went around and nothing was regulated. Everybody's wasted either the night before or during, and that's how they get through it. And so they just don't care, and they just pack up and they
Oh
move
my
town to
God.
town. So not that. It has to be like a Six Flags, like
Yeah.
that.
We're at Great America, and we're on Raging Bull
Yes.
and you hit that really steep incline and you're like, this is it. I'm done. And then you're fine. You
And then
just
you're
smooth sailing.
yeah, you're like, let's do it again.
Yeah, like that was the best. I mean, I'll never this is just taking me back to my first time on Raging Bull and it was such a good experience. So,
So these are
this is a good
memories, reminding ourselves of memories. I mean, it's a pretty good experience.
yeah. Wow. I mean, they're really doing it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought of that
No.
in a million years, like, unless we were here doing this.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way the Pfister Hotel is going to let any event, anything in on their premises unless they've got to be bonded, they've got to have insurance. There's no way that they would just let anybody come in.
That's true. That's true. Except for that one artist in residence that one year. That was kind of strange. But besides that,
What do
it's
you
been
expect?
pretty
It's Cirque
good.
du Soleil. It's Cirque du Soleil.
That's
It's
true.
supposed to be weird. That's the
They
thing.
were like, no, not our nice carpets. It's like, I don't know what you're expecting.
What do you
Yeah.
expect? It's Cirque du Soleil. They kind of
Yeah.
have the run of the place.
They got it. The chandeliers, like, forget
Yes,
about it. Yeah.
and it's like no, no publicity is bad publicity. So
That's
the
true.
amount you had to pay to replace the wood floor and the carpeting pales in comparison to all of the publicity you're getting for that.
Yeah. Definitely.
This is pretty great.
This is cool. Yeah. I am still hungry though. Woo!
Yeah, Sammy.
That was fun.
Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, it was great.
Uh, I I do have a soft spot for carnivals that travel town to town, but they are completely
They
unregulated.
are so scary.
So bad.
My goal at every single one of those was just, can I get a goldfish? Like that was just every time I was just like, this is gonna be my lucky day. I'm gonna get this goldfish, and it would live for like a week because they're in like excessive trauma, those poor things. And I'd
Totally.
give them a nice home for a week or two.
That's it.
Yeah, and then they'd be like, yeah, I can't deal with this anymore. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I know that it's that the people that work that they live in like trailers like that get dragged
yeah.
with the truck and they go around from town to town. And I did meet somebody who was going to the University of Wisconsin Madison.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and it was interesting just to see what that experience is like. And I'm like, man, maybe if I was in college for a summer, I could see doing it, traveling around to like different towns. But yeah, I would never go on one of those rides. You just
Yeah,
don't know.
that's like Harold Hill stuff,
Yes.
like just like no responsibility.
And then you're
To the
gone.
next. Yeah.
How did you get into improv?
Well, I've been watching improv for 14 years. Started, yeah, I like all my friends were doing stuff at Comedy Sports, and I just started like hanging out there and, becoming friends with them. And they'd be doing shows at other theaters and stuff. And I was just kind of always like the perpetual fan. And I have a fairly distinctive laugh. So they would hear that in the audience and be like, Sammy's here. But I've been acting since I was like, well, okay, this is my big break. When I was 3 years old, I got to play the Virgin Mary in a nativity scene in preschool, and I got in this local paper. And then I was like, "That's what I want to do. Like, that's it." And I've been acting ever since. So I do a lot of in the before times. I was doing a lot of murder mystery dinners with Michelle and lots of other friends, and I've done a lot of like horror plays, musicals, things like that. So I just started going from being an audience member to a participant like in the past month or so. And I'll start taking classes with Michelle soon too. So I'm excited for that too.
Well, Michelle Gilliam's like the best.
The best. Yeah.
And she gets it. And it's funny when people would ask me, like they would start taking improv classes and they'd say like, what can I do to improve in this and that? And uh, I go, honestly, do murder mysteries because, because there are many times you walk into a room and it's like, there's been a murder and the audience is like, what? Oh no. They're like just trying to have their dinner. And if you can turn that audience around and go up, then you'll be fearless. You won't care about any improv show. You're like, I've gone through those arrows of silence that people shoot at you when they're like, this is like, those, I don't know if you've ever done those like surprise murder mysteries where like nobody knows.
Yeah, we've done that for like companies and stuff, like
What?
there's like four people involved and everybody else just doesn't know why they're there and they're having a dinner and we're like, someone's been stabbed. And they're like, what? No. Oh, no. And then they're like, I got to do homework now. I got to take notes. I just wanted to get drunk. And you're like, I'm sorry. We're going to make this as fun as possible.
It is so true, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's been a murder and then 200 eyes go down to their salad and they're like, oh shit.
And they're like, how many tickets do I have left for free drinks at the bar? Okay, 3. I can make it through this. I can make it through this.
I I
Yeah.
I remember there's an Onion headline, that newspaper, that satirical newspaper, and the headline is something like, "Oh no, actors coming into the audience," and I always
Yes.
laughed at that. But it's if you can go into a room like that, knowing it's not. I understand why people want to surprise other people, but most people don't want that. So if you can go
Yeah.
into that room and go, "Hey, we're going to make it fun," and I remember we would go in right before anything was served. And then like main course, the actors would sit down and have food with the people, but you had to like stay in character.
Yeah. We
And
had we had like plants at the tables and in our shows. So there'd be like 3 or 4 suspects at different tables. And when I was the killer, I would just try to find people who looked like my parents
oh,
so that
what
I could like blend in and be like, "Oh, these are just they've adopted me for the evening." And
if you get the right crew of fellow actors, it's a blast.
yeah.
because no
It's so
matter
fun.
what, yeah, you're with, no matter what, it's like, hey, even if this audience hates us, it's going to be a shared experience and we're going to have fun no matter what. And that is so similar to improv. It's very similar to what we do with improv, which is like, hey, let's go in and have as much fun as possible and get this
Yeah.
audience on our side. And you start learning like your persona, you start learning how to control a room. Like it's very, I tell people a lot, I'm like, that's where I learned a lot of how to perform is doing a bunch of murder mysteries.
Yeah, it was, I mean, we actually, yeah, hopefully we can go back to it someday, but it was a fun 6 years. It was really great. And I just want to throw in a quick humble break because I would be wrong not to do it. I worked for the Onion for 2 years. Anyway, sorry, just
Did
had
you
to say
really?
that. And then, yeah.
What did you do? Were
Um,
you a writer?
we had a Milwaukee office. So, the paper copies were not enjoyed by people all over the country, but we were one of the first cities to have it. The headquarters was in Milwaukee for a while and then moved to Madison and other places. But we had a Milwaukee office and I was the promotions coordinator and also did ad sales and things like that. So I got to go to hundreds of concerts and festivals and yeah, like a Comic Con once and stuff, and like pass out free stuff from the Onion and just be like the brand ambassador for one of the best papers ever.
Wow.
I felt very lucky. It was a very fun job. and
What
and
a
we were the last paper to like stay afloat. We were the
wow.
last one to go under. Yeah.
What a great experience.
Yeah. It was awesome.
I Scott Dickers, who was one of the founders, taught at Second City. He taught a class for writing for the Onion, and he had a salon one
Nice.
weekend, and he talked about like the first few people who wrote for the Onion were like bohemian poets and strange spoken word people. Like the history of who it wasn't like comedy writers. It was
No.
definitely artists who wrote at the beginning. And now it's such an industry, right? It's such a industry. There's classes on it, and you have to have a packet and things like that. But from what I remember from him talking about, it started as like getting a bunch of strange, eclectic people in a room and then creating what became this huge
Yeah.
international brand now.
Yeah. It's so, yeah. It's so cool. I felt so lucky to be a part of it for a couple years. And, that's always like the thing that people look at, on my LinkedIn or whatever when I'm
Uh,
going for an interview. They're like, "Oh, you worked for it is really the Onion and murder mysteries that I get questions about the most. Like, tell me, what is that like?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, happy to tell you. Drank a lot of free beer. It was really great."
at both places.
Yeah, it'll have both play. Well, after the show, we couldn't do it before or during.
Oh yeah,
Um, but yeah, oh my gosh, such great experiences. Like, and both were really good lessons on how to interact with any kind of person who would come up to you because you just never knew what you were gonna get when you were at a table and at an event. Like,
right.
I've had the weirdest questions. Like, someone legitimately thought the Onion was real. Like, 100%. And she came up to me and she got really mad and she was like, "This is irresponsible journalism." And I
Okay.
was like, okay, can you tell?" And she's like, how could your paper report that Harry Connick Jr. died in a piano fire?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "And you even quoted the New Orleans Fire Department. I mean, that is just irresponsible." And I was like, I can't believe I'm the first person telling you this." And I was just like, "So you know that it's not real, right?" And she's like, "Well, some of it's real, right?" And I was like, "Well, the very middle is real. Like the entertainment section, the AV club is
That's
real,
the only real part.
but everything else is fake." And she was like, you could see, it's like when someone has a whole lifetime of ideas built up and you're watching it
Yeah.
crumble down.
Crumbles.
That, oh God, she was just like, everything I believed is now gone.
I
She walked away sheepish. Yeah.
I remember, to me, the thing that like allowed kind of opened the door for comedy again after 9/11 was The Onion.
Yeah.
What they came out with after immediately after 9/11, because everyone was kind of holding their breath at what they were going to do, and what
Yeah.
they came out was just brilliant. And I remember it was to me, it was even before SNL when they did their show. I was like,
Mhm.
that was the sign of like, okay, we can take a breath, we can get back to humor. And it was a huge part. And I talked to I asked Scott a question about that, about like, do you understand the impact that it's had on just using humor in certain situations? Like, do you understand the impact it's had? And his response was, not really. Like, they knew what they were going to do, but they also knew, like, it's funny how they can walk the line so well and not
Yeah.
be offensive at things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that too, because I was going to music lessons at the time, and the place that I went, like the music store that I went to get lessons, had the Onion there. So I would always steal a copy of that, and well, they were free, but like I would grab a copy of that and the Shepherd Express and put it in my oboe case to read later. And I remember that issue. And this was around the same time that my parents were trying to decide if they were going to confront me for having those newspapers in my possession,
What?
because I was pretty young. I was like, 13, 14, something like that. And I was like, I'm really glad you didn't tell me to stop reading them, because
Yeah.
I don't think I would be where I am right now if I didn't read The Onion. Like,
Yeah.
none of that part of my career would have existed. So,
Isn't that interesting? The
yeah.
the the things you can look back on and go, this was definitely pivotal for me. This was pivotal for me, and all of that. And then those moments, like, I'm a parent. I've got a 5 and 8-year-old now. And I am constantly thinking, is this going to be one of those moments, good or bad? Is what I say
Mhm.
right now, is this going to affect them? Like, man, in 15 years, are they going to be in therapy talking about this thing I'm doing here? So or are they going to be saying, wow, that allowed me to grow on and foster and flower and flourish? So there are those moments as growing up, we remember, that are like, yep, that was one of those moments. And had your parents said no, who knows where your career would be right now, right?
Right. Yeah. I was like, and I also said to him, I'm like, I can't believe you're gonna confront me about it like I had like drugs or something.
Yeah.
Like, we have to talk, honey.
Sammy, have a seat. Your father and I are just, listen, we read The Onion in college. We were
Yeah.
experimenting.
It
Okay.
was a wild time,
So what? Um, where, if people want to connect with you, or watch what you're doing or anything like that on social media, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. I have a website that I created to kind of try to build an amalgamation of all the things I do, because I do a
Yep.
lot of different things. So you can, and there's more I need to update on it, but it's pretty updated. You can go to hisammi.com, HISAMMI.com, and you'll find my Twitch, my blogs, my freelance writing, all kinds of stuff there. So yeah.
What are you doing on Twitch?
I'm a streamer. I play games. So every Thursday I play games by myself. Every Saturday I co-stream with a friend, and on Tuesdays it's Tuesday DIY, and we craft together. So right now we're crochet. Well, I'm crocheting while my other followers are doing other projects, and we all share projects on Discord
Wow.
and stuff. It's super fun. Yeah.
That is so cool. I can't wait to tune in and check it out. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's been such a good community, especially the past year. I'm like, I gotta ramp up on Twitch. I need social interaction, and it's been so fun. So,
When
yeah.
did you first join Twitch? Was it during the pandemic or before?
I joined like 4 or 5 years ago, and one
Okay.
of my friends, actually, I'm going to give him a shout out. His name's Business. He's a talking Super Nintendo, BIZSNES, and he's actually like a puppet and has like the mouth moves and everything. He uses a foot pedal, his eyes light up, and the two of us started streaming together. He's a Twitch partner. He's been doing
Wow.
amazing work on there for like he's been partnered for 4 years, and we started streaming together once a week when he lived in Milwaukee, and it was so fun. I was like, I want to do it myself, and he was so encouraging. And I kind of did it on and off for a while, and then I got a nice enough computer to do it more regularly, and that was kind of my goal over the last year, and it timed out perfectly. So yeah, so I hit affiliate in the spring, and just trying to build from there. Really, it's so fun to just sit and talk to people for hours.
And just do it, right? Like, that's a
Yeah,
big thing. It's like, just whoever, the thing with most people, for me, it's, don't worry about trying to get it perfect. Just start doing it. Just
yeah.
start. And then it'll build. Like, and don't worry about your followers or your likes or anything like that. Do it whether nobody's watching.
Yes. My best piece of advice I got when I was starting was like, talk, speak the same, if there's 0 people in your room or
Yeah.
500 people. Just pretend it's a huge audience and when I was starting and there was no one in my room for 2 hours, I would just sit and talk like there were 10 people in there and
My God, that's
we were having a
great.
conversation. So, yeah, I attribute any growth I've had to that technique. Just talk like there are people in the room always.
And that applies to if you do an improv show or any show and there's one person in the audience or there's 1,000, do
Yeah,
this, like do a show. It doesn't matter how many people are there. Don't blame your audience if one person shows up. Don't get sad about that. Just give them the best show you can and assume there's more people in there. You just never know. Also, it's good practice, and you also just don't know who that person is, and they
right.
came out to see you, and so
And
just
they deserve the same quality
give
show.
the
Yeah.
same quality show.
Yeah, no matter the size of audience, for sure. I totally agree. So, yeah.
Oh, well, Sammy, this is a blast.
Yay.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to play with me.
Of course. This was so fun. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I can't,
Yeah.
whether it's like virtual or in person, I can't wait to play with you again.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All
Yay.
right. Bye.
Bye.